It's okay. Everyone does it. Just turn it.
Good morning, Georgetown. How are you all this morning? Not too bad, not bad. Thanks for asking. I am Nick Leschke, and I'm one of your co-hosts this morning, along with Carolyn Cummins.
Good morning.
Welcome to the March breakfast links. Welcome to those on Zoom. For those attending on Zoom, you are welcome to use the chat feature later on for questions, and we will get them to our speaker. You can wave to us, you can talk to us. We may not wave back, but you can try. Big shout out to catering, shout out to CJ's Catering. And we'd like to introduce our Chamber Platinum members. Without them, the Chamber couldn't do what they do every day. Cook, please stand if you're present. Cook Walden Davis Funeral Home, City of Georgetown, Georgetown Behavioral Health Institute, Loram Technology, formerly known as Georgetown Rail Equipment Company, Rock Springs Hospital, St. David's Georgetown Hospital, the Hacienda at Georgetown, the Westland, Good Folks, and Balancing South. Thank you, Platinum members. We'd also like to acknowledge our ambassadors. If you're present, please stand up. Thank you, ambassadors. Any chamber board members with us this morning? One. Elected officials, if you're here, please stand up. I saw. Thank you. I would also like to recognize our Leadership Georgetown alums. All right. We're going to take a couple minutes to go around the room now and quickly introduce ourselves. We'll just say our name and our business. If you say more than that, the sheriff will have words. We'll start over here.
Andrea Juarez, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce.
Brittany Harris, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce.
Jerome Morales, Eagles Wings Home Improvement Services.
And Tyson, City Post Chop House. Erin Herron, Girl Scouts, Central Texas. Tanya Easton, School Board Trustee, Place 3. Candidate.
Matthew Easton, Amazon Web Services.
Karen Howell, Rock Rattle Center for Kids.
Rebecca Lockerbie, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce.
Valerie Cody, County Commissioner, Precinct 3.
Gordon Wilby, Capital Wealth Strategies.
Bob Halverson, retired.
Kim Fleury, Realtor, Coldwell Banker.
Bonnie Garland, Georgetown Economic Development Corporation, soon to be City Council District 4.
Brian Bird, Titan Development.
Julie Sherifian, NWM Design Group. Teresa Shapiro, Estate Planning and Urban Long Term. Cheryl Carrera, Healthcare Solutions. Emily Ledoux with American Chiropractic Clinics.
Jeff Manley, Wag Heaven Pet Supply, Self-Serve Dog Wash, and soon to be grooming.
USAC, Yang Bernard, Ditto. Ditto.
Lisa Bauer, Ivy with Dick, but also with Parks and Peace. No.
Todd Fitzgerald, also with Wag Heaven.
Ken Partain with Central Texas Technology Solutions.
Chris Walker, ABC Home and Commercial Services.
Rita Turner, The Caring Place. Susan Eisenhower, Eisenhower Insurance.
Cindy Decker with Hello Georgetown.
Greg Fapp with Loren Technologies.
Sabina Quintus, also Loren Technologies.
Wyatt Russell, 180 Office.
Ty with A&W Roofing.
Laura Terry with WilCo Georgetown Newcomer Guide.
Gordon Logan, Springfield Turncoat.
Greg Flanagan, Lynn Custom Homes and Remodeling.
Pamela Ortega, also with Flint Custom Homes. Brianne Schroeder, Hypermobility Chiropractic Clinic of Boston.
Nate Jones with Georgetown Behavioral Health Institute.
Roki Uggan with GRK, Khalid Fort Hood Regional Airport.
Chelsea McCoy, Texas Traditions Roofing.
Marcus Lindsay, Photography and Digital Art Services. Golden Merziowski, Wahlberg Community Event Center.
Lance Morgan, Texas Traditions Roofing.
Dana Sanders, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce.
Linda Aldridge, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce. Megan Falcon, Georgetown Chamber of Commerce.
Jerry Huffman, interim president of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce. Keyword interim.
Good morning, Caleb Stevens with Stevens Wealth Management.
And Nick, I don't think we introduced ourselves properly. I'm Carolyn Cummins with Santosha Solutions.
And I am Nick Leschke with Georgetown Living Certified Alzheimer's Community.
Oh, and we would like to recognize our great members on Zoom. We have Conchita Guzman, Jacqueline Milligan, Kent Cummins, and Letitia Science. So thank you very much for joining us on Zoom.
All right, I would like to introduce our sponsor presentation this morning from Forward Nomad Travel Dream Vacation.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Steve Farnham with Four Nomads Travel. So our ambition is to change the world through travel. We are your local source for all your vacation needs. And I had planned on Barry Williamson being here because we have a very special handout that's on your table. And Barry was going to talk a little bit about the Texas Bach Festival. But since he's not here, I will go ahead and fill in for him. We believe that if you see the world, you can change your world. So we put together this little trip. It's on the Danube River. And for those who are worried about the world events, it's not until next April. So it's still a year away. And we are supporting the Texas Bach Festival. Everyone who goes on this trip will basically will make a donation to the Texas Bach Festival on your behalf to help support our local community events. The trip is a 7-night river cruise on the Danube River. It's specifically for classical music. And what's really special about this trip is Barry Scott Williamson will be your host. And there is no one with a greater mastery of all of the classical music composers, their history, where they lived, their music. So you'll have a very special treat knowing that Barry Williamson will be along for the ride, and he will be educating you as you go along, going to places like Mozart's birthplace. And if you're not really into the classical music, you still have all of the beauty and the history of the Danube River. It's from Budapest to Vienna, Austria. There's a couple other countries there you can visit. And of course, you can always add on before you start the cruise or after you start the cruise, you can do self-guided trips around Europe. So we would like your help. If you know anybody that's interested in this, maybe you're not into classical music and that's, river cruising isn't your thing, but you might have some friends or neighbors who would like to do that. So please pass that along. Otherwise, just leave it on your table. We are your local source for all your vacation needs for Nomads Travel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. All right, and hold on. I felt like that wasn't going to work there. All right, and I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker today. Mike Gleason was elected sheriff of Williamson County in November of 2020, and in January of 2021, he became the 36th sheriff of Williamson County, where he and his family are longtime residents. Mike became interested in law enforcement after attending a career day presentation when he was just in the 7th grade, and while attending high school, he did ride-alongs with the Austin police officers. Mike has held a number of high-ranking positions and served under 5 Williamson County sheriffs during his over 23 years with the department, and recently retired from the Williamson County Sheriff's Office as the Assistant Chief Deputy. Mike has completed his undergraduate studies in criminal justice while being the first ever to receive the Dr. M. Moritz Scholarship from the 100 Club of Texas. He graduated from the 217th session of the FBI National Academy in Quantico, attended Sam Houston University and graduated from the Correction Management Institute of Texas program at Blackwood Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, and completed his MBA at Charter University. And he holds a number of prestigious certificates, including the firearms training instructor, mental health officer, Secret Service clearance. Suffice to say, you definitely want him around if you're in a dark alley. Sheriff Mike Gleason is passionate about and committed to mental health reform. He is responsible for creating the crisis intervention team in 2006 under the direction of Sheriff James Wilson. He is a leader, and he is committed to working for employees, constituents, and the greater good of our community. I am honored and pleased to welcome Sheriff Mike Gleason.
Well, I can go home now. Thank you, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. Like you said, my name is Mike Gleason. I've been employed by the Sheriff's Office since 1993, where I started on midnights as a corrections officer, working in the jail. And I've held every position in the agency up to sheriff. So that says a lot about, I think, what we can ask of all of our employees. And myself and my undersheriff have placed a huge emphasis on education. And we are bringing education to the Sheriff's Office like never before. And having said that, that shows an investment in our people long term. And I don't mean we're sending them to a week-long school here. These are 3-month classes, 4-month classes. We're back in the good graces of the FBI, and we're sending folks to the FBI National Academy. We have the LEADA trilogy, which is the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association. We're the Southern, I just drew a blank. Southern Management Institute of Police, SMIP, which is a 10-week course equivalent to the FBI. You just don't live on the Marine Corps base in Quantico. Northwestern University has a police school command and leadership that we send them to. That's another 3-month school. We have the John F. Kennedy Harvard Executive Leadership Program. These are extensive, big schools that we're sending people into. We're making an investment in our community for you guys and for our own department to show that we're serious. We are a serious agency. Williamson, some facts that maybe you guys don't know. Being in the chamber, if someone asks you, Williamson County is the 12th largest county in the state of Texas. We are the 3rd largest law enforcement agency in Central Texas. We have the honor of belonging to a group called the Major County Sheriffs of America. They represent over 120 million voters in the United States and 115 of the largest metropolitan counties in the United States, meaning Suffolk County, Orange County, Clark County, which is California, Chicago, Miami, New York City, all those. Well, we actually belong to that group where I'm the president of the Foundation for Major County Sheriffs of America. We just finished a project here recently. We had a young man stand up during one of the breakout sessions, and he said that he belonged to a little company that some people may have heard of, and it was called Amazon Prime. And he said, if there's anything that we could help you with, don't hesitate to ask. And I said, well, be careful what you ask for, because we did. And so I reached out on behalf of my foundation, and now we have, when disaster hits, the commissioner can tell you that we have more than our fair share of disasters, whether it be floods, fires, ice, snow, snowmageddon that we all just went through. But we can help other agencies because we have, as you know, an abundance of water right now. We have warehouses full of water because we needed so much water because of Florence and people being cut off during last snowmageddon. So we store that stuff. Well, there's I would venture to say, a national wide website called WebEOC. You can go look at it. It's a WebEOC, and all first responders, fire departments, police departments, sheriff's offices subscribe to WebEOC. And it's where you can track all of your activities, your assets, and your needs at a federal level. So when you go to FEMA to get reimbursed, you can tell them exactly what you did, why you did it. It creates all your paperwork. Some of y'all may be familiar with it. Pardon me. So I went into WebEOC and got on board with the International Association of Fire Chiefs, because they do emergency management better than cops do. That's a known fact. Firemen have been doing it for years. They do a very good job of it. So we went into WebEOC and they created an app within WebEOC where every agency across the United States can go, I've got 8,000 pallets of water. I've got 15 miles of fire hose. I've got 3 incident management teams. I've got a command bus. All these assets that we own that are federally grant funded, or we've just had the good fortune to come across them, or through the graciousness of the court, we acquired that asset as a county asset. And so we go in there and we tell everybody what we have, and then we put in there the conditions. You can have it, don't need it back. Some agency might have 5,000 MREs that they're sitting on. That feeds a lot of people. And so we put all those assets in there. I don't need it back. I do need it back. You can have it for a week. I'm going to need it next month. You can have it. You put all those conditions in there, if you will. And once you do that, you put contact, name, phone number. And the computer itself, when someone goes in and looks for it, will find you, will match the asset, call you, and your conditions say, yes, it's available, you can have it. And it notifies you. Well, then a new tickler that we just are in the process of developing calls Amazon Prime, and guess who ships it? For free across the country. So now all these assets are available at a national level. I know every kind of refers to us as George Patch and all, and we're not that way anymore, especially with the attraction of Amazon and Micron. If Micron happens to build their factory here, Samsung is a $17.2 billion factory that's going to start in the Taylor area, but Micron in Round Rock is a $42 billion company that's already here that's going to build a new plant. Now I think we're still fighting with Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh or something like that, but that's on the table as well. So we're doing a lot of stuff that's kind of on the national board with these meetings. We're currently in the running now to head up a 7-county task force for human smuggling, human trafficking, and child sex trafficking under the Warren Buffett Foundation. It's a $9 million grant that we're going to receive through the governor's office. And it will go all the way, starting from my friend Eddie Guerra in Hidalgo County, all the way to my other friend Bill Wadeborn, the sheriff of Tarrant County. And so this is another project through Major County Sheriffs of America, because we belong to the Urban County Association, which brings everybody along the interstate. I know it's difficult to try and manage growth in this time because when you have IH-35 running through the middle of your city, growth is coming whether you like it or not. You just got to manage it, so there's no way you can really control it or stop it. You just have to manage it. So having said that, it was said that I have a passion for mental health, and I know that I work with Commissioner Kobe as well on many programs for mental health. We started our crisis intervention team. It's one of those be careful what you ask for, you might just get it. And there was some rearranging of assets in 2006, and the sheriff's office was voluntold, might be a better term, that we were going to receive the mental health unit and crisis intervention team. And I happened to be the only person who was a licensed mental health officer in the agency. And so we took in that program, and I told the sheriff, I said, I kind of need a honeymoon phase, if you will, if we're going to take on this type of. And he goes, yeah, you can have what you want. We'll get you all the needs. Well, the health and safety code under state law states that if you have a designated mental health unit, you're required to do certain things. You know, if I'm a mental health officer, but I still take burglary calls, cats stuck in trees, lost dogs and all that stuff, I can wear a uniform. But if I do nothing but mental health, I have to be in plain clothes and an unmarked car. So we have a 9-person unit. That's all they do is mental health. They only do mental health calls all day and all night long. And they have a sergeant and a lieutenant and 2 administrative assistants, and we house them off-site because we want to remove that stigma of having mental health issues, because mental health is not against the law. It's actually, it's civil in nature. You know, if we take somebody against their will on an emergency detention, we're taking them civilly just for their protection. And they have to meet the criteria. Are they currently suffering from mental illness? Are they in a mental crisis? And are they an immediate, that's the key word, danger to themselves or others? If they meet that criteria, I can civilly take them against their will and take them to the single portal authority, single mental health portal authority, which for us is Blue Bonnet Trail. I don't know if a lot of y'all are familiar. It's a fantastic organization that operates in the region. We have an excellent relationship with Andrea Richardson and her staff. She's the executive director. Wonderful people. And a lot of people don't realize, I didn't realize till I started working with them, that they don't just do mental health. They do how to balance your checkbook, you know, diet restrictions, how to be a good parent, raising your kids. They have so many programs that they offer because it is a community-based program. So I highly encourage you to look into them, if not for mental health, but both of that as well. But they offer so much more in the community. So we started that in 2006. To fast forward, we did really, really well because one of the requirements that I had of my staff is that they had to do follow-up with any consumer that they laid hands on, however, within 72 hours. They had to contact them in any way, shape, or form, phone and email, in person. And it's rather funny because people aren't used to dealing with us in a mental health capacity. That's the reason why we do the plain clothes, because people become fixated with the uniform and they can't get away from that, and it's very intimidating to them. And people in mental health crisis don't need any more stimulus overload on them. So the plain clothes really helps, and it kind of puts them on the same level. Well, we would go to their house and say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, it's Mike from the sheriff's office." Yeah, because they're like, "Why are you back here again?" "Oh, just checking up on you." "Excuse me, how are you?" I'm good. "Well, to be honest with you, I missed my doctor's appointment because I don't have $10 to put my gas tank to get there." Well, we were blessed or not blessed, depending on how you look at it, with the giant tobacco lawsuits that came down. And so we kind of were able to develop, once again, with the help of the court, a slush fund, if you will. And my average cost of housing an inmate in my jail is $99 a day. If you're on some type of psychotropic meds or you're suicidal, now you become $190 a day because of the medication, if not even way more, some are $2,000 a month. And I have to do one-on-one with you, because I don't want you to hurt yourself while you're in my custody, because I have care, custody, control of you. And so sometimes I have to have one person staring at you all day long, 24/7, so you don't hurt yourself. And so that takes away from my manpower, because I'm required to have 48 to 1. I have to have 48 inmates for every one officer on staff, or I'm out of compliance in my jail. So having said that, if I could take $20 and put it in your gas tank and keep you well and keep you out of my jail, well, that $99 is paid for itself five times over, And so we constantly do that by a term that we use all the time: jail diversion and ER diversion. We used to go, and I hate to say this, but it is reality, and I can make fun of my own profession because I've been one for a long time, so I've earned that right. Cops are primarily lazy. It's the path of least resistance, okay? And so what we've designed in our program is every morning we have someone from the county attorney's office, the district attorney, or lawyer, someone from Blue Bonnet Trail, someone from my CIT unit, someone from the jail. And we go through all the reports that come in, because I have no control. I have 39 different agencies that report to my jail. Okay, I got just as many cops trying to run through the front door as I'm trying to get them out the back door. And so it's kind of a ballet that we work. And when it's this non-stop, I'm trying to divert anybody I can. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, murder, yep, robbery, yep, rob the liquor store, yep, running down the road naked, covered in feces. No. Okay, that is not a criminal offense, but that cop went, boy, the path of least resistance is pedestrian and roadway. That's what they went to jail for. So now they've got a criminal charge and they're still as mentally ill, they're still in crisis, and we're not serving anybody. So that morning, right there with that group of people that I listed off, we take that one, we give it to our crisis intervention team folks. And the lawyer goes declination of prosecution, signed off. They're not booked, they're not fingerprinted, they're not photographed, they're out of the system, no criminal record, and directly into services that already exist in the community. And so we have saved all that money. Because when they finally get out, now they just have a criminal charge and still have the same problem. It's, and then they'll present it again. So I would rather pay, if someone that has mental illness cannot feed themselves, they go steal a $10 pack of lunch meat to feed themselves and their family. And now I'm putting them in jail at $190 a day. It's easier for me or the community just to go, here's your $20 grocery store and don't file charges on them because we've already lost. The average stay in a county jail is 30 days. But with COVID, we have people that are there for years now. They've been in jail for years because they can't get to court because of COVID. So you can understand why this is frustrating. So the more programs that we can design to get people out and address their mental illness. Now, please, I'm not talking Huggathon. Do not get me wrong. If you need to be in jail, you need to be in jail. And if you've committed a serious crime, you need to stay in jail. But if you're in jail because of a mental illness and we can do some type of reform and get you out and make you a productive citizen and help you stay on your meds. We just started a new program with Jail and Jobs. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that program. We just started working with those guys and girls. And that's a great program because when you get out of jail, you go right back into the same environment. You start hanging out with the same idiots that got you in trouble with. But these folks will kind of hold your hand, if you will. They'll give you assistance in a house. They'll give you assistance and get you to work so you can keep your job. They'll help you find a job. They have a list of Fortune 100 companies that go, you know what? We know you're a felon, but we are so starved for staff that we're willing to give you a second chance, So a lot of times it's just, are you willing to take a chance on somebody? And that's what we're trying to develop with a lot of these folks. And not to get them out of jail, just for the sake of getting them out of jail. We want to productively get them out of jail. And so we're doing a lot of programs in our jail now as well. There's more studies that you can even shake a stick at. Even the Secret Service did one, is the better support system you have on the outside, the better you are inside. So if you don't have anybody out there waiting for you, nobody calling you, nobody sending you $5 for a honey bun and a Gatorade, on commissary, you're gonna fail. You gotta have that support system. So we're dropping the price, everything costs money. So we're dropping all the prices in our commissary to as low as possible. We're dropping the cost of all the phone calls as low as the federal government will allow us to do that. And is it self-serving? Yeah, because if you got $1 and it gets you one phone call, you're gonna make one phone call. If you get $1 and it gets you 20 phone calls, you're gonna make 20 phone calls, but I still got your $1. So, but you got 20 phone calls out of the deal rather than one. So they're gonna spend the same amount of money. They're just gonna get more bang for their buck, no pun intended. So we're working a lot on those programs to get people out. And the commissioner can speak on this as well, that when we go looking for money, we have to show the cost savings. We keep meticulous stats in CIT, and it's not just to prove our worth to the court, but it's to prove our worth when we go back to these community hospitals. Because everybody that shows up at a hospital, they get dumped there because they're usually what's called dual diagnosis. They're drinking to mask their mental illness, or they're self-medicating. And so when we get a hold of them, we can't do anything with them until they're sober. So we drop them off at the ER. That's not necessarily the best place for them, unless they're really in some type of detox. And so most of those people have no insurance, and so it falls against the institution or the hospital's indigent health care program. And so when we go to the hospital and say, well, what's it cost to have somebody in the ER for 3 days? Because that's what a full detox will take. So they're talking to them, and they'll say, oh, $10,000. Okay, well, I kept 300 people out of your jail out of your ER last year at 10 grand. Do the math. So when we go back to them with those kinds of statistics, and then with the help of the court and Blue Bond and all of other partners, we come back and we go, hey, you know what? We saved you all this money last year, but we need a new respite center, or we need this new program, or we need this 23-hour drop off. And we saved you 10 million, but this only cost 2 million. What do you say? They're like, yeah. How many zeros do you need on that check? And so they're willing in those partnerships. So by being meticulous with our stats, saving money, showing our work, we can pull off these programs. It's just kind of come at it with a different attitude, but knowing that it's the best for the community. And I could probably stand up here all day long and spout, but I do much better with questions and answers, because I know your questions usually are a lot better than me just telling stories. So, yes, ma'am.
Is there a jurisdictional issue on if someone is community around this person believes they're mentally ill, they're creating some issues?
Mhm.
The police have been called, they don't want to deal with them.
Absolutely.
So is it a jurisdictional issue with them living inside the city limits to call the sheriff's office?
We're actually, great question, because we're actually kind of going through that transition right now. When we first started our CIT program, we did it countywide, inclusive of all the cities. The cities were like going, thank you, have all you want of that, we want nothing to do with it. But then post-COVID and me coming into the election and our growth, we just could not service everybody in a timely manner. And so we started reaching out to a lot of the police departments, and we're doing that as we speak. You gotta cut us some slack. You gotta start taking on the, so it's an education process. A lot of people didn't want it because they weren't educated on the process and how to do it. For a long term, like you're talking about, where someone's not immediate crisis, we can't take them. There's a process called an OPC, an order of protective custody, and you can take all that accumulative knowledge and witnesses and witness statements, and you can apply for an application to a judge, and the judge will issue a warrant to have them detained and put into services. But yes, it was a jurisdictional problem, but now we're kind of coming together, and the cities are starting their own crisis intervention teams and taking care of the issues inside their city. But as the county, we will never, I just said this the other day in our last meeting, I'll never leave you hanging. If you're, because we have pros. My lieutenant over the program, he's a police officer, but he's also a master's level clinician. And so he knows his stuff, and all my people that work in CIT have a passion for that. So that's all they do. And so they know the system, they know the doctors, they know, we've been known to strong arm a couple of private, I think there's Georgetown behavior here, we've been known to strong arm a couple of these guys every once in a while, to find the bed. But it's all about getting that person service.
Sheriff Gleason, we're gonna hand around the mic so the Zoom people can hear the
Okay.
questions.
Good morning, Sheriff. Can you tell me, with all the tremendous growth in our county, the number of officers that have been increased in the sheriff's department that comes with this growth?
We are trying, but unfortunately, historically, it's not just us, it's nationwide. The beat up on your local cop, we can't hire to save our, but we're beating up on the commissioners as much as we can for pay raises and more deputies. But it's kind of funny, back in the day when it was about money and not people, when I was coming up, we laugh about this now, but we would say, hey, Smith wrecked his car last night in a pretty bad wreck. And the patrol commander would go, how's the car? We go, well, Smith's okay. I don't care about Smith. I can get another Smith. I can't get another car, and now we have a reversal. I can't get warm bodies. I can pay $10 million a day, and I just can't get anybody to put an application.
So the problem is not the money, it's the problem is getting people to volunteer.
It's yes, sir. And the problem is not the problem, but the solution is this right here. You got to understand, we're not the bad guy, regardless of what the media is telling you. And Black Lives Matter. I believe in Black Lives Matter. I don't believe in corporate Black Lives Matter, where all cops should be taken out and murdered. I don't believe in that aspect, but I believe in all lives matter. So just how far down that spectrum are you willing to go? And I do not want to get into politics, but that fiasco, those 19 officers being indicted in Austin, and I'm thankful I'm here. Like I said, I grew up in an Austin Police Department family, but I ended up here. And I'm so glad that I did, because we make fun of everybody down there because they all work down there and make Austin PD 6-figure salaries, but they all live up here. They all live here. They all live in Williamson County. We had a search warrant that we ran one day. They covered 4 different counties, and I had about 15 people in my entourage just to cover the warrants that I had when I ran the SWAT team. And we had to go down to Travis County Courthouse for our major giant briefing. And we walked in, and I knew the lieutenant over the courthouse security. And I don't know if you ever walked into the Blackwell courthouse facility down there, how crowded that is. And we were all in uniform, and we were walking by the metal detector. And the lieutenant looked across the courthouse at me. And I won't tell you the expletive that he used, but he yelled across the public. He goes, "Who the F is watching all of our houses?"
Mhm.
Exactly, you all live up in Williamson County where it's, very great, but you all work down here where you get paid, because you don't want to live down here and you can't afford to live down here. So yeah, just trying to get people to apply is the problem right now.
Can you tell me more about the sheriff K-9, selfishly, we've been
Oh, yeah.
involved with you.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
Wow. My entire career, with the exception of when I started in the jail, and then I did 1.5 years as lieutenant over internal affairs, has been patrol. Corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, commander, assistant chief, in some way, shape, or form, I've always been in the patrol division. So K-9 has fallen under my scope, my purview, for a number of years. So I tease my K-9 handlers all the time. I tell them, if I can teach the dog to drive, you'd be out of work. They are smart. I don't know if you saw the 2 that they captured yesterday, that carjacked that woman in Gerald, and then her car was stolen as they were fleeing. You guys will get the better story. As they were fleeing, they were throwing guns. We have it all on videotape. They were throwing guns out the window, bags of ammunition, running people off the road. And then, you can always tell because they slow down to about 30 and that door pops open. They're gonna run. They're gonna let that car go and they're gonna run. Well, they both ran. And when someone's chucking guns out the window, there's no reason to chase that person when you have a land shark that's willing to do it for a treat at the end. And so it's off leash. And so the dogs went and captured those 2 guys. Because all we do is set up a perimeter, leave our lights and sirens on, and we contain them, they'll bed down, those dogs will walk right up to them. So the dogs are so smart that, if we walk into, say, our mom's house, and our mom's cooking spaghetti, you go, spaghetti. Well, the dog walks in and he goes, basil, oregano, tomatoes, onions, pepper, salt. That's how they break down things like that. The dogs will do article searches. I can take this bullet right here, and just because of the scent of my thumb, if I pop it out on the ground and walk away, that dog will come discount all of you, find me, and they go find that bullet. Some dogs in Europe, they train them so detailed that they're trained to hand the bullet to their handler, primer out so their canine doesn't discharge the round. That's how smart they are. So we have a 6-man, 6-person team, 6 dog and person team. We use all Belgian Malinois and Dutch Shepherds. They're all trained in Europe, and we bring them over here to a place outside of Bandera called Hill Country Dog Center. Mike, the owner, currently has about 1,100 Department of Defense and Department of Energy dogs deployed throughout the world right now. He's probably the #1. I'll be honest with you, it's not cheap. Those dogs are about $16,000 a piece. They're Title VI Schutzhund dogs. Some of them you can roll around on the ground with, and some of them you can't. I mean, they have personality. We do our best to socialize them. They're very social dogs, but they're still, the best rule of thumb with those guys, everybody in front of me is the bad guy and everybody behind me is the good guy. That's kind of how they think, especially when they get in. It's funny, when I was a young deputy, I had a roommate who was a canine handler. The dog lived with us. And he thought he was a lap dog, and I'd be sitting there watching TV, and I got this 110-pound Belgian Malinois on my lap, and then as soon as you get up, he hears the keys rattling and the weapon go in the holster, he's on duty like light switches. They're literally light switches. So I'm kind of rambling because I know a lot about them. I love them. I think they do a great job. I know everybody only gets to see the biting part of it, but the tons of narcotics that they've taken off the road due to their sense of smell on traffic stops. The Supreme Court realizes that a dog can't lie, so there's no better testimony than a dog walking up to a car and going, and he sits down. That's his alert. He tells you, there it is, boss. And then all you gotta do is throw his Kong and he goes nuts, and that's the game. That's the whole world right there. And the Supreme Court realizes that they can't lie. They do what they're trained to do. And the number of lost kiddos, Alzheimer's folks that we have found, because they don't always go off leash, as long as they get you within 20 feet close, you can see, the 80-year-old guy sitting underneath the tree, you found him, you put the dog up, so they do miraculous work. They are a vital tool we have. As long as I'm sheriff, we'll always have them. Yes, sir.
For mental health and training, how do you deal with people who are special needs and maybe calling crisis lines just for attention seeking?
Great question, great question. Commissioner, I bet you wish you were gonna answer this. Before my 4-year vacation, we won't go into that story, but before my 4-year vacation, I had an idea, and I talked to one of our associates, Kathy Pierce, who's huge. She's the chairperson of our mental health foundation and task force. And we got the idea of having when you call 911, where's your emergency? You need fire, police, or EMS. Well, now when you call Williamson County 911, you call, it says 911, where's your emergency? Do you need fire, police, EMS, or mental health? We now have a qualified mental health provider sitting on the floor of our 911 center on a headset at a console, that you don't get the fire truck and the ambulance and the police car in your front yard. You get to talk to somebody, and they're highly trained to diagnose the acuity of what's going on, to listen in the background. And, I use the example of the shotgun racking, the door slamming, someone yelling or screaming. Well, I'm gonna leave. They can hear a car door slamming, the keys starting the engine. So they know if you go mobile, now I need to ping that phone so I can follow these folks. Or is it somebody just a lonely, but a lot of times it's lonely and I just want to talk to a nice person before I end it all. And so they'll say, well, you don't need to do that. And they'll keep them, they'll de-escalate, and they'll keep them talking until we can get assets there or help them. Or it might just be, I'm out of medication and I'm lost. Oh, let you talk to a counselor at Blue Bonnet, and we have the money, we'll get you. We'll write you a script from our own pharmacy. Who's your doctor? You know what? We'll make you an appointment. We'll do all that for you. And kind of going back to that money thing again, it's a whole lot cheaper for me to send a CIT officer over to your house, pick you up and drive you to your doctor's appointment than have you present at my jail or an ER to the tune of $10,000. So now we have somebody that's trained to triage all those calls when they come into 911, and that's all they do. Great question. Yes, sir.
So how's the crime scene going in Williamson County nowadays? Talking about I-35.
Okay, I-35 has a huge transient population. I'm just explaining, I'm not subscribing. A lot of the stuff that's going up and down the I-35 corridor, some of our district attorneys and county attorneys will argue that that's not intended for our community. It's transient, it's just going through. So why do we waste the resources on it? That's a question that you just need to talk amongst yourself and go to the ballot box. I personally believe if I can stop it here, I've stopped it in another community. I mean, we're all in it together. We're in it to win it for each other. Crime comes with growth. The supply chain has not helped anything. I got a phone call from a friend of mine who's a developer, and he had you've seen the 18-wheelers when they're building a house. Basically, almost your whole house, trusses and everything can be on one truck, and they dropped it off. And so he called and says, hey, we're not going to get the foundation poured till X, Y, and Z, so no need to drop all that stuff off. He goes, dude, I just dropped it off 20 minutes ago. No way, no, you didn't, no, you didn't. Yeah, I did what I was told. Before they could get out there, it was all gone. The whole house was gone. It had loaded up and taken because of nobody can get supplies. That's how bad the supply chain is. So, did I answer your question?
Not really. I'm interested in all the petty stuff that's going on around our homes and in our small businesses.
I'm not really sure if you talk. Well, I will tell you that the one big thing that's going on that's almost epidemic for us around the homes, and it's certainly not petty, but it's with COVID and everybody staying home, working from home, and their kiddos are at home. But everybody, for some reason, feels that they have to be armed. So now the safest place to keep your gun is in your car. And they're not locking their car. So every car burglary we get in every neighborhood now also becomes a theft of a firearm. Because all these guns are on the street now because people won't put guns and lock them up in their house because they're afraid their kids are going to get it. Because their kids aren't at school. And so that is a major problem that we're having right now. And it's almost like a competition now for amongst these kids that they're not at home as they walk around the neighborhoods. It's called flipping doors. You probably hear about people on their Ring cameras, as they're walking by, they're just flipping the doors as they walk through neighborhoods. And when they find one that's open, they got your garage door opener, so now they go into your house, they got your toll money, they got your gun, they got your laptop, they got your billfold, they got whatever everybody's leaving in their car. So that's probably our number one petty crime in the neighborhoods is car burglaries.
Yeah.
I have a
Pretty
question.
prevalent in the apartment building.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a crime spree right there, because you don't know who your neighbors are. There's a whole plethora of cars. I don't know if you're jerking on the handle of your own car or my car. In your neighborhood, you probably know your neighbors, or at least what they look like, 5 doors either way. So if you see somebody you've never seen in that neighborhood pulling on that door, you know they're not your neighbor.
How full is your jail and what is the percentage of the black spikes in the stacks?
I haven't been to the office yet today, but as of yesterday, we were hovering around about 560. Fully built out, we're 1,100. Pre-COVID, we were around 700, but we have a huge push to do nonviolent offenders and pretrial release and get those guys and girls out just because of COVID. The percentage is males are about 90%, females are a fraction of what we have. Years and years ago, it would have been an anomaly for us to have 1 or 2 people in my jail for murder. Now I have 24. And so as far as black, white, and Hispanic, we don't keep that statistic. And historically, that is not a good statistic. We're in the process of doing a study for that because nationally, they'll say that we have 7% Black in this county, 8% Asian, 20-something% Hispanic, and the rest are white. But that's not proportionate to the jail population, because you have to go back and say, well, if 80% of all the people in your jail are Black, but your population is only 8%, you obviously have a racial issue. No, that community where those people live have a crime issue, because predominantly a lot of these crimes are Black on Black, Hispanic on Hispanic. And the reason they're in my jail has nothing to do with ethnicity. It's about their ability to get out of jail. And so that statistic is wound up pretty good. And we actually have a national study being done to outline, to show the disproportionate in that number. Yes, ma'am.
And let me give you the mic.
I heard a presentation recently on human trafficking and just how prevalent it is, and it's everywhere around us. So I just encourage you what your department has done, or what it was a great presentation from like a nonprofit.
Yeah. Well, as we speak, we probably have the largest volume of human trafficking going on right now. It's called South by Southwest. South by Southwest, Circuit of the Americas, and Austin City Limits are the 3 big ones in this community that bring all the human trafficking in. And it's human sex. There's a difference between human trafficking and human sex trafficking and human smuggling. Smuggling is getting them from A to B. Trafficking is where you use them for a service. Okay, and indentured servitude, things of that nature. The last one that I personally was involved in was in Northwest Austin, Williamson County, but not in the city of Austin. It was in our jurisdiction, in the unincorporated jurisdiction. And there was a restaurant that we have constantly had problems with. It's a Chinese food restaurant, and they had 3 apartments in an apartment complex. And they were, for some of y'all that were in the military, you know what hot racks are, hot bunking. They were turning and burning. The night shift that goes in and does all the prep work, cutting vegetables and all that, was working all night long. And then when they came home in the van, the next group woke up and those were the waiters, waitresses, and dishwashers. And that was 7 days a week. And they held all their passports. They did all their shopping for them. None of them spoke English. They weren't encouraged to speak the language. And then everything that you made in profit, your paycheck, if you will, you turned around and gave back to the company store back in the old West days. You gave back to the company store, where now you're buying your toothbrush from them, your toiletry items, your clothing, your underwear, your meals, your whatever. So basically you're working for free because you're giving your money right back to the same person who's, running your daycare. And so it is very prevalent. Like I said, we are about to head up the task force. We're currently in my organized crime unit right now. we do about 4 stings. We're doing one right now, I'll tell you where, but we're doing one in actually you could throw a rock and hit it from here in a local hotel where we lure these people in. We call them, we run ads in the back of magazines and newspapers and advertise for human trafficking and sex trafficking. And they call us and we set it up. They come right to our door and we arrest them. I did a sting not too long ago. Are y'all familiar with it's changed names several times? It used to be called International Residence Apartment Complex in Austin on Palm Springs Road. Yeah, I know you know because
No, I know, I used to live there.
oh, did you really? I
I
thought
know
you
that.
were well, anyway, I ran a sting one time as a patrol lieutenant, and we would call it was Backpage. I don't know if you ever heard about Backpage. But anyway, it was like ordering pizza. I mean, it was that simple. And you really weren't too concerned with the lady of the evening, I guess we'll refer to her. But it's the security that they bring with them. They all come with a bodyguard, if you will. And that guy's got, the car's always stolen. He's always got a gun. There's always drugs, and he's got warrants. She's a model citizen compared to this idiot. You know, this is what you're looking for. But the guy she brings with him is the one you really want. That's the good arrest. But anyway, we would go to international residence. The manager was nice enough to give us an empty room, an empty apartment. So we set up shop in there, and you just call, and they show up, and I actually on the phone talking to this one prostitute, and she goes, and I won't tell you the words that she used, but anyway, she said, you know, basically, where are you? And I said, we're 8915 Copper Creek, you know, and international residence. But mind you, this is 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon.
Jesus.
She goes, and once again, the quorum won't allow me to use the expletives, but she goes, I ain't going to no international residence. I go, man, how big of a horrible place does that have to be where a prostitute will not come at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon? But you got 20 kids out on the playground, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, so we do all that kind of stuff. And I know you don't get, it's almost a fine balancing act, you know, how much do you really want to hear? Do you want to be afraid and think that you live in a horrible place because we're creating that drama? We're creating that drama to stop the drama, you know? So it's not like there's just prostitutes roaming the streets and murderers and all that. And we create a lot of this stuff through stings and investigations to get ahead of the curve, to be proactive. So if we came out every day and gave you a litany of every crime that was committed in the last 24 hours on our Facebook, you guys are already going, I'm moving to the woods, you know? Like, I don't want to be here anymore. So it's kind of a balancing act. Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys want the microphone or? Yeah.
This is the last question.
Okay. Thank you for everything you're doing and for the
My
sacrifice
pleasure. Thank you.
that you and your team's making. I love that you have a focus on mental health, and I guess what I would really like to know is internally. So I'm very rooted in the veteran community, as well as I know a lot of first responders, law enforcement.
Yeah.
One of my closest friends is retired officer Jeremy Charlo. He wrote a book called My Brother's Keeper. He's real big on, obviously, relearning to live with PTSD. He was ambushed while in active duty and had to fight for his life. And I know that there is a lot of this. We see it in the news, obviously, cops are ambushed all the time in the society that we live in. I want to know what programs, what things do you have in place to help your officers when they're going through this struggle?
Thank you. I appreciate that because I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. So thank you for jogging my memory. Since I took office, we have done tons. I have now hired 2 staff psychiatrists, psychologists. We now run fitness for duty assessments. We're in the process now of making everybody go through one every 2 years, just as we do what's called Wellness Wednesday. Anybody who's on any type of disciplinary action or that's in trouble or maybe in trouble, we call them every Wednesday, dude, this is the process. How are you doing? We check in on all of our employees. We have started a peer support unit, and the entire department participates in the peer support unit. My 2 psychiatrists, they're both #1 in their field nationwide, and thank God they're located here. How lucky are we? Dr. Tanya Glenn and Dr. Brandy Miller. Dr. Brandy Miller does all our clinical stuff. And do you have the stamp to come work for us? And that's a 4-hour interview. I've been through it so many times, you know. And then Dr. Tanya Glenn is the PTSD professional. She's nationwide, and she has an office in Phoenix. That's, you know, she does all of the United States. The peer support. And then I also started a very, very robust chaplaincy program. And I now have 10 chaplains that work in the sheriff's office. They all get fancy uniforms and badges and everything. And just to make everything is voluntary. But I wanted to show a commitment to everyone that they would be represented. So our chaplains consist of non-denominational Southern Baptist, a Catholic deacon, an imam, a rabbi, and every other. I got 10 different religions represented. So you can either talk to anybody you want to, or you can talk to one of your choice. It's your decision, and no one. And then also we have some of those chaplains that they're very jail-based. They want to help the folks in the jail and the corrections officers. And then we have ones that go, you know, stack those guys up like Fordwood. They're bad people. I don't care about the jail. And they want to help the officers. So it's a very loose, not loose knit, but kind of, it just works itself, you know. And so peer support, we do a lot of, I know it sounds corny, but we're really kind of getting, you know, we're almost 600 employees, which sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot because, you know, we got a lot of people with a lot of longevity. And so people like it when you know their birthday and their wife's name, their kid's name, and you show, you know, and God forbid someone passes away and 20 people from your shift show up at your office, you know. Thank you.
I just want to give a big shout out to Sheriff Mike Gleason. Thank you so much for all the information. And to Steve from For Nomads Dream Vacations for being our sponsor. We're going to get some chamber announcements from Brittany.
Nick's also going around getting business cards for the door prizes. So if you have to put your business card in, you're more than welcome to add it. First, I want to thank Sheriff Mike Gleason for speaking today and our sponsor, Steve, with For Nomad Travel Dream Vacations. Another round of applause for them, please. Some upcoming chamber events on March 17th. We have business after hours. That's in 2 days, people. So good to see all your lovely faces there again. It's at Pinnacle Essentials at 5 p.m. On March 23rd, we have lunch and learn right here in the chamber at 11:30 to 1. You can purchase tickets online on the events calendar. We'll have speaker Craig Henry, and he'll be speaking about hiring and workforce development. I'm going to pass it over to Dana really fast for a leadership Georgetown announcement. And don't forget to take your surveys. QR codes are on the tables. We review these monthly. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our leadership program. We have our leadership programs coming up soon. We're working on the applications now. We're hoping to have those done in April for you. And then if you know any of kids that are juniors or seniors, we also have a junior program that we do through all the high schools. The only requirement is you need to attend school in Georgetown. You don't need to live in Georgetown, just attend school. So if you're interested or you know somebody who would be interested, just let me know and we'll get them in the right direction.
Okay, now for the only reason why people showed up. Just kidding. All right. We have some amazing door prizes. Just a little reminder, if you want to get your business noticed in a great way, giving a door prize is a really good way. I'm going to do my best here to make this fun and exciting. All right, here we go. So the first one is going to be from Central Texas Technology Solutions. And as I say, they do dark web security analysis, but also a lot of other technology related things. And so they're giving away a special gift to Kilwins, a little bit of dark chocolate, right? We all love dark chocolate, not the dark web. All right, and the winner is Ann Kaiser from City Coast. Congratulations. There you go. All right. And then from Lorraine, we have this great package. I think they're going to try and upsell and from Community Impact with her coffee chat. This is a 3 of 9 coffee gift certificate, a fantastic coffee mug, and a bunch of great snacks in here. And this is going to go to Can pertain. Excellent. All right. Go around here. All right, I'm gonna set this down. No, actually, I'm talking this one because this one really deserves a little bit more explanation. This is from Marcus Lindsay Photography. This is a fantastic picture. If you don't understand the time and effort it takes to take this picture of a hummingbird in a flower, I mean, it's amazing. I sit at my house and I try to take pictures of birds. They don't come out like this. This is a real treat. All right, and this is going to. Oh, you have to be kidding. Okay. We're just going to pass out all of the door prizes to the other people that gave door prizes. So this is going to Greg at Laround Technologies. Thank you so much.
Saying thanks for that. I always say that. I'm always like, does anyone have any questions? Blah, 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 blah. Thank you for coming. No one ever says anything.